from somewhere. So, okay. So like I said, today's focus is going to be on Google Sites. I'm going to teach you how to build a basic Google site, which is what they're going to ask you to do on the test. They ask you to kind of build a Google site, and then they'll ask you to put in a couple of things to it. So that's kind of what I'm going to walk you through today. It's worth noting that the current version of Google Sites, which is what you see on my computer, looks a little bit different slightly than what you might see on the quiz, because I think the quiz is using like a slightly older version. So just kind of keep that in mind. Um, and then this should not take quite as long as the Google Classroom, because Google Sites doesn't have, there's a lot to Google Sites, but I don't want to overwhelm you, so I'm not going to go like crazy in depth. Um, I also did want to say before I got started, there was a question last time about taking the test and using incognito mode to take the test. So if you have not taken the Google Level 1 test before, what they ask you to do in the test is they'll ask you to sign out of all Google products, because they don't want you, because they create kind of like a fake Google account for you. If you're using a Chromebook, I'm going to be honest that I'm not 100% sure how you do that, because obviously you have to be signed into the Chromebook. As a teacher, you should have access to something called incognito mode, and basically all that is it's kind of giving you a version of the internet where you're not signed in. So the way that you would do that is you would, from the corner of your browser, these three little dots, I call them the snowman. If you click on the snowman, you'll see you get options for a new tab, a new window, or a new incognito window. So if I click incognito window, it turns this dark gray color, and basically it means that you're no longer signed into anything. So it does not have your email address saved. So that if I went to, say, Google, you'll see how it says like sign in the corner. If I click on Gmail, it's not going to automatically take me to my email. It's going to force me to sign in again. Um, so that was just a question I know that had come up last time. So that might be something if you're taking it on a Chromebook. If you're taking it on a laptop, you could probably do the same thing. I do know that, like I said before with the test, test is 3 hours. You have the first part is the multiple choice, which is about 20 questions, and then the later part is about 11 different scenarios. The only thing it asks you to do is be on camera the whole time, so it does ask you to make sure that whatever you're using has a webcam, because it takes periodic pictures to make sure nobody sat in your place and took the test for you. Okay, so as before, if you have any questions as we go along, you can type them in the chat box. If I don't hear you, if I don't see it, or if I'm not answering it correctly, feel free to unmute and ask me, or ask me to pause at any time. After we're done, I will make sure to share this recording with you. Um, and then Friday or Thursday session, which will be our last one, is going to go over Sheets and Calendar and a little bit of Google Meets, because those are all kind of short ones. And again, I'm only going to really be covering things this time that you'll have to go over on the test. So, okay, I'm going to walk you through a finished Google site to kind of show you what it would look like. This is the Google website that I currently have for my classroom. So it functions pretty much just like any other website. You can see I have, this is kind of my opening page or my front page. I chose to have my navigation on the side. So I've set it up with an about page so that parents can learn a little bit more about me. Eventually this box will be an introduction video. I just haven't filmed it yet. I have a student page for my students, just student links mostly. That these are things that my children use all the time, and it's just easier if I keep them all in one place. Each one of these, if I click on it, it will take me to that website. So it's just a kind of a repository for my students to go back to. And then I have a variety of parent pages. Anywhere you see this little down arrow, that means that I have subpages. So my overall parent page has a school supply list, and then this will eventually link to a calendar. But then I also have like a schedules page for my parents. I have frequently asked questions with these little drop downs. I have a links page for parents and a homework page. And then I also have, like, for my students, I'm going to end up putting up some subjects and some other information. So like on this page, I've linked a Google Doc that I created telling parents what we learn about each 9 weeks, and I've actually embedded that right here in the website so my parents can see it. And then I can link, I've linked some websites on here. I haven't really updated it much until, we'll kind of get going with the school year. So just to kind of give you an idea of what a Google site might look like or how you use it. I mostly use it as a place where people can come to get information so that they don't have to continually ask me, hopefully, the same questions over and over. So to create a Google site, I'm actually going to create a fake one right along with you. You actually start out in Google Drive. So if you want to follow along with me, this is where you would start. You would come here to Google Drive. And all you would do is click New, and then you come down here to More, and you would click Google Site. I just saw the question, how do I share the site with students and parents? So there's a couple ways to do it. Previously, I actually have it linked through my school's homepage. So if you go to the Hillpoint webpage under Teachers and Staff, right beside my name, there's actually a little like globe icon, and if you click it, it takes you right here. So parents can access it right from the Hillpoint homepage. And any one of you should be able to get whoever your web admin is who takes care of your school's website. And I'll show you on mine. So if I go here to second grade teachers, right beside my name, there's this little globe. If you click it, it'll take you directly to my website. So if you contact whoever is in your school that runs your school website and you give them this web address, they can do that for you as well. I've also shared it through ClassDojo, which is like my communication tool. I've shared it through Google Classroom before. I will this year have it linked to my Canvas, my homepage on Canvas. I'm going to have this linked there. So all you need to do is share, once you click publish, which I'll show you how to do, it's just all you do is share this website link with anybody that you want, and then they'll have access to it. Okay, so from Google Drive, you're clicking New, More, and then Google Sites, and it will open an entirely blank website for you. So the first thing that they ask you to do on the test is they're going to ask you to name the site. So you'll notice this right here is only naming this page. Up in the left-hand corner, and I believe they say this on the test, they say go to the upper left-hand corner. This is where you put whatever you want your actual website name to be. So my actual website is called Miss Riley's Class. So you'll notice that if I go to like the actual site, the link has Miss Riley right here because that's kind of like my actual link name. So when you enter your site name, it could be something like, I'm going to call this one Practice Class. You might call yours, your name and whatever class it is. It's kind of up to you. You can change this like anything with Google. You can change this as many times as you want. Once you've named it here, you'll also see that it will rename the file here as well. But if I change this to, say, test class, this will not change. So if I really wanted to change it, I would have to go back and make that change. So this is going to be like kind of the official class name. There's an option here to add a logo. So if you have like a Bitmoji or something that you use, you could always click add logo and add that to it so that, if everything has that Bitmoji or you have a particular icon that you use for something. This is going to be your page title. So it automatically makes this your home page. And what they'll ask you to do on the test is they'll give you what to name it. So we're just going to call this home page. When you type, it'll give you this little bar up here. What this bar does is it allows you to change this type of, basically the size of your words. So title is going to be really big. Heading you can see is smaller. Subheading is even smaller, and then regular text is super small. You can bold it if you want, so you could highlight it and bold it to make it bold. You could italicize it. So, those are all options up here. These little dots, it's hard for you to see on this color, but there's right in the middle, if I move my mouse right to the middle, it kind of turns into this star. I can move where this is on the page. So if I want it more to the side, or I want it more to this side, it'll kind of allow me to move it around a little bit. if you hover over kind of this main block, you'll see two things pop up. Change image is going to change what this is back here. So if I click change image, I can either upload an image, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing. I would recommend using one of the ones that Google provides for you. So if you click select image, you can either select an image that they already have. They've got a bunch of really cool pictures and colors and designs. You can also search for a picture. Anything that you search for here is going to be free for commercial use. So you don't have to worry about, oh, this picture isn't, is going to run into a copyright issue. So if I searched for something like, I don't know, leaves, anything that shows up here would be allowed to be used. So if I click it and click select, then it will insert it as my background. The reason why I do not recommend using your own pictures is two reasons. Number one is that it could be a potential copyright issue. But the other reason is that Google Sites works so that your website will appear on tablets, computers, and phones, and it changes the size of this picture based on the product that you're using. So let me show you real quick. On a computer, it looks like this. On a tablet, see, it shrinks down, and then on a phone, it's even smaller. And the images that Google uses, it automatically can scale it properly. But if you pick one, so say you have a picture of you and your family that you wanted to put up there, Google might not know how to scale it properly. And so on a phone, it could end up being like one person's, hand only is in the picture or something like that. It's just kind of something to keep in mind. You can also change how big the header is. So if you want it to be a banner, it looks like this. A large banner, it gets even bigger. A cover, the whole thing is like this, so there's no room for text. Or you can just have the title only. So on the test, they'll ask you to name the class, and then they'll also ask you to name it. They'll have you give it a home page and choose a background image as well. Okay. So this is kind of the basics of creating any page. Any page that you make, you're going to have these options. You'll have the option to create this header, to name it what you want with a header, and then down here is kind of where all of your information is going to be contained. So anything that you put, anything that you want to type, any information that you want to share is all going to kind of go down here. Okay, with me so far? So up at the top, this is where your title name is. You'll notice, like anything on Google, it's saved automatically. These are forward and back buttons, so if you make a mistake, you can click it and it will undo the mistake, or you can click forward and it will fix the mistake. This button here can be really helpful. It's a preview button, and basically what it allows you to do is how is my website going to look when it's actually published out there on the web? What's it going to look like when parents are looking at it? So this is a really useful tool if you're designing and creating and you want to see, okay, what's this going to actually look like? And if you click it, it will show you. And this is kind of what I just did. It'll show you, okay, this is what it's going to look like on a phone. Here's what it's going to look like on somebody's tablet, on a computer. And then you would just click the little X button and it takes you right back to the editing page. This will eventually be the link to the website. So once you publish your website, right now, this is kind of what we call the building stage. So you're kind of just building and playing and creating. Once you click publish, then anybody who has that link will be able to see what your website actually looks like, and it will be officially a website on the web. But until then, it's kind of just a sandbox. You're just playing around with it. Nobody can see it. Once you click publish for the first time, and I'll go back to mine since it's already been published, this right here will give me a link that I can now copy that link and share it with people so that they can get to my website. The only person that can edit your website is you. So once you share this link, this goes to anybody in the world. So you can copy it, put it in an email, you can stick it on your Canvas page, you can stick it in Google Classroom, you can stick it on ClassDojo or whatever you use to communicate with parents. You could text it to parents, whatever. This will allow you to share the website with others. So in the off chance you're working with a team, maybe you wanted to create, you know, a website, say for the whole English, 7th grade English department or something like that, you could share that with other people, and then multiple people could access that website. This is the settings page. So I'm just going to show you really quick. Settings is where you're going to be able to change the look of it a little bit. So you could do something like navigation refers to where all your pages are. So going back to mine, all my pages, if I click these, they show up in a sidebar. But you can also do it where they would appear across the top and they would look like this. I just chose to have it on the side because I prefer it that way, but that's kind of up to you. The rest of this kind of doesn't matter a whole lot for you all, but it's just a place that you can come. It's just there. I'm not going to go over it in too much detail. Then we have this publish button. This is kind of the big one, and I'm going to come back to it once I've done a little bit more work. So on the side, you'll see insert pages and themes. So they will ask you, I believe, on the test to pick your own theme. Google Sites has pretty limited options in terms of what you can do for personalization. So each one of these is a different theme, and if you click it, you'll see it will change slightly what everything looks like. It will change what fonts are available to you, and it'll kind of change some of the colors and things like that. So let's just work with this one. If I pick this one, I can change the overall colors that I want to use with it. So you can see it's going to change my background slightly. I can also pick, this one allows me to pick my own color that I want to go with. So I could pick something like, you know, I wanted to go with this kind of a color. And it will allow me to make that change. I can also pick the font style that I want. So I could pick a classic, or I could go with, you know, kind of whatever. So this is basically just changing what your actual website looks like, and you can make it as personalized as you would like to. So again, I can pick kind of whatever colors I want. Pages are going to be the actual pages of your website. So right now we have a home page, so it's going to automatically create a home page for you. When you want to add more pages, this is where you're going to come. So, and then insert is going to allow you to actually put stuff up here on your website. So if you look at the top, there's kind of some basics. Text box is just that. It's going to give you a box where you can type things in. So I could say like, hi, welcome to my website. And again, I have all the same options as before, so I can change how big I want it to be. Say I wanted it to be slightly larger. I can change, you know, the orientation, stick it in the middle, kind of whatever I'm doing. I can make lists. All of those normal things are available to you. An image is just that. It's going to allow me to insert an image. I can either upload an image or I can choose an image off the website. So say I wanted to upload a picture of my dog so I could show my kids what my dog looked like. I could choose upload, and then I would just simply go and find an image. So like, I believe, like I'm just going to insert, this was something I did earlier this year. So it's going to insert it as an image right there onto the website. I can change how big the image is and how small it is. So this is something that was stored on my computer. I can also select an image. So say I wanted to have something from my Google Drive, I can also do an image search. So say I wanted to insert a picture of a dog. Again, I would click insert, and a picture would show up there for me. I can change the size to whatever I want, and it will be there. This image also allows me to crop the image, so I can change. So say I was like, oh no, I wanted it to be a little bit smaller, so I can kind of change that orientation a little bit. So I want it to be a little bit bigger or smaller or whatever. I can also link. So say I put up a picture and I wanted to link this to, I don't know, a website about dogs. I could put insert link and type in a website there. And then when the students click on the image, it will take them to whatever website I've added. I can also delete, you know, of course, anything I put up there. Embed, I'm not going to get into right now. That's a little bit more complex, and that involves embedding things like Google Calendars and whatever. I do not believe they ask you to do that on the test. I took the test a couple months ago, and I don't believe they ask you to, so you should be okay there. Drive, you'll probably use a lot. If you click on Drive, basically it allows you to embed documents directly into the website. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to insert here. I made a little. Here's a Google Doc that I wrote. If I click on it, it will actually put it directly into my website so that people don't have to go to my Google Drive to be able to view this. They can actually just go and read it right here. And right now it's only showing a part of it. On the actual website, once this is published, you'll be able to scroll and you'll be able to kind of read the whole thing. So see, it just becomes an actual document that you can just scroll through and read right there on the website. So this would be really handy for something like if you had a course syllabus that you wanted to share, if you had created like a welcome PowerPoint or a slides presentation, if you had a PDF document that you wanted to share. I've done that here in my actual website under my About Me section. I created a PDF document that was kind of a meet the teacher thing, and it's embedded. I just linked it directly from my Google Drive, and now it's right here on the website and everybody can read it. The important thing to note is that anything that you link from your Google Drive and insert here, you want it to have sharing turned on. So the way to do that is to make sure, so you'll see Drive as an option here on the side. So you have Insert, you have Drive. You'll be able to access anything because this is all your stuff. But, like for example, this document that I selected, I don't have it for anybody else to see but myself. So if I actually published this website, nobody would be able to read this. It would pop up with like a little box that would say, you need permission to read this document. So it's important that any document that you want people to be able to see, you actually need to go to your Google Drive and you need to make sure that you change the sharing settings to anyone with a link can view. So most things are restricted. You want to make sure that you're changing that to anyone with a link can view. Not Suffolk Public Schools, but anybody. Because otherwise, nobody will be able to see your documents that you put on here. You will. So like to me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is perfect. I can see it. But if I was to publish this and go on as somebody else not logged in as Elizabeth Riley, nobody else would be able to see this. In fact, let me show you an example really quick. Let me go to, okay, so I'm going to insert a random document here that's not shared with anybody. I don't really even know what this is, but okay. So here's that. If I go ahead and publish this, and I say I take this link and I'm going to go to an incognito window, so I'm not signed in as myself. Okay, so see, I'm getting this little like error thing, and it will, so see, it says like it's refusing to connect because I don't have permission to view that. So it won't allow you to actually see anything, even though I can see it. I'm looking at it right here, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can see that. It's not going to allow me to see it when when I'm not signed in. So you really have to make sure that those permissions are set up so that anybody can see it. Like, see, this one should load. Oh, no. Well, this one's just not loading any of them. Delightful. Give me 1 second. Here we go. This is what it should look like. So see how it says you need access? This is how it'll appear to anybody who, if you have not set that to anybody with a link can view. This one you can see. Oh, nope. See, this one I haven't set as an access either. Whereas like I'm pretty sure my about page I have fixed. See how I can see this one because I made it to that. So just make sure that you're really checking that. Otherwise, this is what your parents and students and everybody else is going to see, and it won't look right. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. So back to here. And again, I can delete anything that I've put up there. So these are kind of the basic things that you'll probably end up emailing. You'll also be able to do that if you double click anywhere, you get this little like carousel, and it's the same thing. I can insert an image, I can insert text, I can insert from your drive. All of that comes from a double click anywhere on the screen. So I can either do it over here or I can double click here. Totally up to you. It's the exact same kind of stuff. Over here you can see layouts. So Google kind of gives you some hints and some tips. So if you're trying to make things look super professional, this would be a way to do it. So like I could click this and it will give me a space to put a picture and put text. So like say I was doing an About Me page and I wanted to put a picture of my family and then also put some information about myself. I can do that. Okay, so this is a way to add information to your site. You can also, there's a whole lot of things that it gives you the option for if I scroll down. They're all pretty self-explanatory. I could add a YouTube video. I can insert a Google Calendar, and it will actually have you right here. You can click the calendar that you want to insert. That's pretty easy. Google Docs, again, it's going to take you right from your slides, your sheets, all of these things. Anything that's Google related is able to easily be inserted right here on a page. You can even create little buttons. So like if I wanted to call this the next button, and then it will link you to a special page or whatever. Okay, so that's kind of the overall, some of the basics. I'm going to get into these a little bit more, but I want to talk about pages. So insert puts anything on any page. Right now, I only have one page on my website. I have this home page. To insert more pages, we're going to come here to Pages, and we're going to click the plus button. We're going to click the plus button, and it's going to create, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, we're going to click plus, and it's going to tell us a new page. So we're going to call this, let's just say, Parent Pages. Okay, and we're going to click Done. Now I have two pages. I've got my home page, and I've got my parent pages. You can see them up here at the top. Home page, parent page. So again, functions just like the home page. So home page and parent page, I can change the image. So if I want parent page to look different, I can change what that image is. Hey, I want my parent page to look a little bit different. So I'm going to change what the background is. Again, I can change, what I want it to look like. Do I want it to be big, small? Do I want it to be off to the side? Do I want it to be super big, super small, whatever? And if I go back to insert, I can do all the same things that I did before. So on a parent page, I might want to insert a link to a calendar, or I might want to put up a welcome letter right here. So I can come over here and insert something from the drive so that I have like a welcome letter that I can share with parents, or I might want to insert an image. The pages work the exact same way, whether it's a home page, a sub page, an extra page, whatever. To create sub-pages, meaning a page that's like these, I have my parent page, but then underneath parent page, I also have like schedules and facts. So these are all things that are sub-pages to the parent page. To do that, instead of clicking New down here, what you're going to do is you're going to come over to the page that you want to work with. So say I want to create sub-pages for my parent page. I'm going to click the snowman. And I have a couple of options. I can duplicate this page, meaning that I can make an exact copy of it. So say I wanted to have several of the same pages. This is how I could do that. I can also add a subpage. So I want to call this Parent Questions. And now you can see I have parent pages. Underneath I have parent questions. And over here on the side, it's gone to having this little down arrow so that if people hover over it, they can see the subpage under parent pages. And it will take them there, or I click on parent pages and it takes me back to the original one. I can have as many subpages as I want. So maybe under parent pages, I have my parent questions. I might have something like, I don't know, grade questions. So I've created a subpage under my subpage. So you can see I have parent questions, and then under there, I have grade questions. So you can kind of, that rabbit hole can get pretty deep. You can create as many subpages as you want. Of course, you can always delete a page once it's been created. That's not a problem. So on the test, it will ask you to create your home page, which is done automatically for you. It will ask you to create a new page as well as a subpage under that new page. It will ask you to change up the theme so that you can switch and decide what kind of a theme that you'd like to see. It will also ask you to add several things. So it'll ask you to do some typing. So again, to do that, all you're going to do is come up and click text box, and you can type whatever you want. It will ask you to link some things. So to create a link is very, very simple. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to type whatever you want. So say, let's go to parent pages here. I want a text box, and say I want to say link to syllabus. I feel like, okay. So once you have your text, what you're going to do is you're going to highlight your text, and then you should see this little box pop up. If you go over to this little link looking thing and click on it, it will give you the options to link. Now the cool thing is you can link to other pages on this site, which is really neat. So I could link it back to the home page or to another page on the site. I can also link it to an outside source. So say I wanted to link it to google.com, right? I can even link it if I wanted to a Google document. But once I click apply, you'll notice that it now underlines the word syllabus. That means if I click on the word syllabus, and I'm going to show you in a preview, if I click on it, it will now take me to another website. So this is how on my site, when I had the student page with all those student links, that's how I did it. I typed in the name of the website that kids would be able to go to, then I highlighted it, clicked that link button, and then inserted the link and clicked apply. So inserting links is fairly straightforward. That's all you really have to do is just kind of highlight it and then click this link. You can change the link at any time. You could delete the link if you no longer wanted it to be there. You could go ahead and just delete it and retype the word, and then if I can spell today, and then you would no longer have that link present. So I've used links a lot, not only to link things like here with my students. I also have a link to take to parents. I believe I said, no. I got to think about what I actually did. Here we go. So like under my contact information, my email address actually will mail it. If they click it, it will open their email and they can email me directly. And that's just done by putting in the link mail to : and then my name. It's just an option. So they'll ask you to put in a link. So that would be how you insert the link. They'll ask you to type several different types of text in there. So they'll say like, they'll give you a text and they'll say insert this onto this page of the website. They'll also ask you to link a document, so directly attach a Google Doc or a Google Slide or something, which again can be done one of two ways. I can either do a double click and use the From Drive feature, or I can go up to this insert and click Drive. It's the same way either way. The big thing is to make sure that it has your sharing options turned on, so that anybody with the link is actually going to be able to see it. And I'm going to show you how to do that again in case you're unaware of how to do that. So for example, I'm going to go here into my drive. So what you would do is any document that you want to be able to have seen and embedded on your website, you're going to right click on the document or a slide or PDF or whatever it is. Right click on it and you want to click this share button. At the bottom, you want to make sure where it says get link that you change it to anyone with the link. It'll show you like a little green earth. That means that anybody in the whole world, regardless of what email address they have, what browser they're using, anybody will be able to see that. Then you click done, and it means that when it's inserted into your website, anybody can see it, not just you. Because again, remember, you're the one that's going to be you're already logged in, so it's going to look just fine to you. My advice would be that when you're testing and kind of playing around to make sure that it works, use that incognito mode to see if it'll actually let you see what you've created. Or have somebody who maybe doesn't have, who isn't you, a teacher friend or somebody else, look at your website on their device and see if they can see all the things that you put in there. So again, you can insert anything that you want. I'm just going to use a document like this. And again, I can change the size of it. I can change how big or how small it is. And that will kind of affect. If the whole thing is not viewable up there at once, that's okay. They get that little scroll bar and they'll be able to scroll and read the whole thing. On the side, a couple of things to note. So you'll see on the side, this says open in a new tab, so it will actually allow me to open whatever I have. This is how, of course, I would delete it. You'll also see this little paint palette. What that means is I can change the color of this section. So you'll notice since I'm working in this section, it's very, very, very faint. But there's like a little light gray dotted line here and a light gray dotted line that runs here. This is the section. So the way Google Sites works is it wants to make things kind of look neat and pretty for you. So it tries to keep things kind of organized and well put together. So if I click on this little paint palette, I can actually change the color of this section. So say I wanted to change it slightly so that now some information can be highlighted. So again, if we go back to the example of my class, on my student page, I have their background right now is this purple color. I can do that for any section that I want. So again, I can change whatever I want, and it will change your font color to fit the background. So if it's a dark background, it'll change your font color to light. The colors that you have here are completely determined by your theme. So my theme was this green color. So my options are these kind of light and then green. If I changed it to this, say this dark blue color, you'll see that my options again change. So now it's blue instead of green. This will allow you to duplicate the section, so I can make a copy of it. This right here, if you'll see again, it's these little tiny dots on the side. These will allow me to move around things. So if I want to change the order of these, I can drag and drop to change the order. So nothing is permanent. I can move around whatever I need to move around. I can navigate back and forth between my pages just by simply clicking at the top, and I can go back and forth between my pages. A couple of other things on the side. So these are like I said, you have a lot of options for what you can put on a Google site, which is pretty cool because you can really personalize it a lot. Collapsible text looks like the frequently asked questions. So it'll look like this, and then if parents click here, it will kind of open up and give them an answer. So that's what collapsible text is. So when you do that, if you click collapsible text, it will put it in here for you. So whatever's at the top is what will be seen, and then whatever's at the bottom will be what's hidden. So you could use that. Frequently asked questions is the one that I think would be the most use for that, but you could really kind of use it for anything. You could do, if you had a lot of information on one page, that would be a really good way to do it without overwhelming people. Okay. Table of contents is just that. So any headings that you put anywhere on your page will create a little table of contents for you. An image carousel is exactly what it sounds like. So say I want to put in a bunch of pictures on a page and I want people to be able to click through them. I could do that here. So I'll give you an example of what that would look like. Let's do, I don't know, I'm on a dogs kick this morning. So there's one. I'm going to insert another one just so I can kind of give you an example of how that's going to look. Okay. So once I've done that, you'll kind of get this, and then you'll have the dots at the bottom. So this is going to work like you'd see on any other website where I can click through multiple images. So that's what an image carousel is. If you don't use this, then any images that you'll put up will kind of appear one after the other. A button is just that. A button will take you somewhere else. So for example, say I wanted a button that would take everybody for some reason back to another page or something, or let's use our old friend Google. So you'll see it appears as a button. So instead of doing links like I showed you the other way, you could make little buttons like this, and then when I click it, it'll take somebody there. So I'm actually probably going to end up doing this on my own website. So instead of having the student links be like this, I'm just going to make them into these cute little buttons. But I mean, it's mostly an aesthetic thing. It doesn't really have anything to do with anything. A divider is just that. It puts this little line across the page to just change so that you can kind of divide things up if you wanted to. So if we went to parent page, say I wanted to put a divider in there so that there was like a little line, oops, in between these two, if it listens to me. There we go. A placeholder is just that. It's a placeholder. It's going to be, it appears just as a box where nothing is, but I can add stuff to it. So a YouTube video, an image, whatever. So if I know, like, again, going back to my class example, I know eventually I'm going to be putting a YouTube video here. I don't have one right now, but it's going to go here. So you can see it's just kind of this like slightly discolored box. And then again, everything else is just pretty straightforward. And all of these things, YouTube can either be, you can either search for a video or you can upload a video that you have that's not on YouTube. You can also just put in the direct URL and it will insert that video kind of right there on your page. And again, all of these things, calendar will pick any calendar that you have. So we talked last time about with Google Classroom, how it kind of automatically creates a calendar for you. So I could insert that calendar right here and it will insert it onto the page, and then parents will be able to see any events I have. So this would be a good way to share calendars with parents because it will put it right there on the page for you. And then doc slides, all of these things are going to come directly from your Google Drive. So that's pretty much the basics of how to create a Google Classroom, or not Google Classroom, a Google site. Once you have created your site and you're feeling pretty good about it, you like where it's at, you have the option to publish. What that means is when you click publish, it's going to, the first time you ever click it, it's going to give you this. Web address is going to be whatever the little special thing is. So like for myself, you'll see here all Google sites start out with sites.google.com. Then because we're Suffolk Public Schools, it'll be /spsk12.net / and then this is my particular little URL. So mine is Miss Riley. You can pick whatever you want it to be. Right now, it's giving me practice class because that's what I named it. You can change to however you want. This is the important bit. Right now, its default is that only people in Suffolk Public Schools can see this. So that means that anybody who does not have an SPS K-12 email address and is logged into the computer under that email address will not be able to see this. You want to make sure that you click manage, and you want anybody to be able to see it. So publish site should be for the whole public. So at the bottom, you make sure that you click publish site as public and click done so that anybody can see your website. It does give you this cool option where you can request that public search engines not display your website. So you want your website public so that parents can be able to log in and see your website. However, you don't want anybody to be able to Google Miss Riley and automatically my website pops up. I can click this button and it will help to restrict that so that I don't appear on Google searches, which is pretty cool. Then I click publish. And what it basically does now is you'll see at the bottom it says your site has been published successfully. That means it is now out there for the world to see. So that link, once that link is shared with people to your website, it's now active. So I can click right here and it's going to give me that link. Copy it. Now I can put it in anywhere and I should be able to see that link. I should be able to do it incognito, so not signed in as myself. I should be able to get there and see it. Once you have hit publish for the first time, the publish button will now have an arrow beside it. If you click the arrow, I can change my publish settings at any time. So if I want to go and change the web address, I can. If I want to change who has access, the search settings request, I can do all of that there. I can unpublish the website. So if I've published it and I realize, oh my gosh, I've made a huge mistake, I don't want it out there yet, I can click unpublish. I can also view my published site, so it's going to show me what it looks like as how other people would see it. When you're logged in as yourself, you'll see this little pencil at the bottom, and that will allow you to go back and edit. Now, once you've published, and that's a good question, once you've published your website, you can continue to make changes. And every time you make changes, it will save it in what's called draft mode, and you'll have to republish. So I've published this. Now I've decided, I forgot, I needed to add something else here. So this is some more information. Well, if I go right now, this has been saved, but I haven't republished it. So if I view my published site, you'll see that that update is not there yet. What I have to do is go to publish, hit publish, and it will show me, okay, this is what's currently out there. This is what you're going to be adding. Are you cool with that? So see, it says currently published. This is what is available. This is the draft of what I want to go out there. If I'm cool with that, I can click publish and it will say publishing, and now it's fixed. So like with my website right now, I have all this stuff that people can actually see, but I'm continuing to work on my website. I'm adding stuff to it. I'm changing things. I'm doing things with it, and I can add and change and fix as much as I want, and until I click that publish button again, it will not be shown. So you can do a very basic website with not a whole lot to it and publish it, and then continue to make changes and add to it and fix things and do whatever you have to do to make it look as you want it to look. And you would just click that publish button every time. This review changes and publish kind of does the same thing. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. This will allow you to see some information about your website if you want to, so you can see all the changes that your website has gone through. And then again, you just want to make sure that your publish settings are set up kind of for exactly what you want. So that's it. Google Sites is pretty basic. Like I said, I'm probably going to continue to use Google Sites in conjunction with Canvas, just because I think they can form complementary bits. Um, but it's kind of up to you. I know a lot of teachers in my school are making their own kind of uh, class websites to kind of make a little base to come back to. You will be asked to create one on the test, so it is kind of good to know, how we can do that. So, does anybody have any questions about sites? We do have some extra time in today's session, so I'm more than willing to do some little bits on sheets, or we can wait until Thursday to do sheets. So it's entirely up. Because technically we have about just about 25 minutes-ish left in this session. So that's kind of covers it for sites. Does anybody have any sites questions for me today? Okay, so it sounds like we're pretty good with sites from what I'm seeing. So because we have extra time in today's session, I can go over a little bit over YouTube with you and also over some sheets, because those are two sections that you'll also be asked to do on the test. YouTube is a little bit tricky and for me to show you, and the reason for that is that I already have my own YouTube. So on the test, it asks you to create one, and I kind of can't do that because I already have a YouTube, but I can kind of show you how to create playlists and stuff. Let me go to my school YouTube. I cannot do it incognito, and the reason is that I still have to you have to have an email address to be able to log in, but I might be able to. Okay, so kind of a basic on YouTube. So when you log into YouTube, again, they're going to give you fake accounts for the most part to use on this Google test. So you'll notice over here in the right-hand corner, there's like a little circle. That's my icon, my Google icon. And that's the name of my Google account. This is my particular teacher account. Now, I will say on the test, it does not matter. If you want to create a Google account for Suffolk Public Schools, you can't, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason is YouTube is considered a brand account. A brand account we do not have permissions for through Suffolk Public Schools. So if you never had one before, I do not know that it's possible for you to create one now. That would be something I would have to ask about. I have one because I've had a YouTube account now for many years, and my school YouTube is actually managed under a private Google email. But basically what it'll ask you to do, you'll go up here and you'll click on the picture, and then see where it says switch account. If you click there, there should be options where you can add an account. So you'll be able to click add account, and then it will take you to the creation of your account. I'm not going to do it now because, like I said, I already have one. Like, I already have a YouTube through this email address, so I can't create another one. But it will allow you to do that on the actual test. It'll take you to that page, but it'll be like your fake email. And then it's very straightforward, kind of walks you through how to create that account. And then you'll see that it will now say, so like this was my account name. The main thing that it's going to ask you to do on the test with YouTube, it's going to ask you to create a playlist, and that's actually super easy to do. So let me just pick a random video. Okay, so once you've picked a video, and I think on the test it says, it'll say, look up a video on animals, or look up a video on science experiments. It tells you what kind of video to click. So you'll type in, science experiments, and you'll just pick a random YouTube video. They don't care what video it is. They're just trying to get you to pick one. And then you'll notice there's a little button that says save. So again, underneath the YouTube video, you'll see it's like a little plus button. And it says save. And then I've got a bunch up here, but you'll probably see something that says create new playlist. So you can name the playlist. So I think it asks you to name it something like science videos or something like that. So you would type in the name of this, like I'm just going to call this test things, and click create. And that means that it has now added it. You can see here, it's got a little check mark and it's on test things. So I can add any video that I want now to that playlist. So I click on a video, I click on the save button, and then I click on the playlist that I want it to be saved to. And then from your YouTube homepage, I now have a little thing on the side here that says test things, and I can go and actually see the videos that I've uploaded. I can share them with people. I can share this list. So if I go here to the little arrow button, I can click share and get this as a link. So say you create a playlist that you want all your students to have access to. So like for example for me, I'm actually going to delete this because I don't want this playlist anymore. But during quarantine, I recorded daily videos, my read aloud for my kids that I couldn't do anymore. I recorded them, and then what I did was I clicked share. I got a copy of this, and I shared this on my Google Classroom so that my students could view all of my videos. So this was a way that I was able to create and share information with my students. You can write a little description of it if you want. So I like and you can kind of change the name of the playlist to whatever you want it to be or whatever. And then it'll let you know that this is managed by you. So those are kind of the basics of YouTube. It's pretty straightforward. Like I said, unfortunately, I can't show you how to create an actual YouTube name, both because I already have one and because I don't know that they'll allow you to for real on, I'm not, there's some weirdness with how they manage brand accounts, so I couldn't say for certain, but. And yes, I will share the recordings for Google Classroom and today's as well. I certainly can. So that's YouTube. YouTube's pretty straightforward. Oops, my pencil's rolling away. Okay. We have about 15 minutes left. So Sheets. Do we have a question?
Riley, if we're going to do Sheets next week, isn't that what you planned for? I mean, excuse me, not next week, Thursday.
Yes.
Isn't that what you planned for Thursday?
Yeah, it is. And I think actually I don't want to start Sheets now because that is a little bit more time consuming. So I think I'm just going to wait on Sheets until Thursday because I don't want to get into it and then stop us at that cutoff point.
Okay. Can you go over, by any chance, can you go over a little bit more for the calendar for us old folks who haven't really integrated that calendar into our daily life? With regard to email and linking that and going back and forth with it and adding Google Meets and all of that stuff. Can you kind of help us with that, like navigating the email areas?
Yes. So my plan for Thursday was to go over Sheets as well as Google Calendar and Google Meet.
Oh.
Um, because we only have about 15 minutes, and again, I don't want to like super get into anything that we're going to, but I can kind of show you some basics with Calendar. So from your Gmail, I can add, our Gmail now is kind of like an updated Gmail. And if you'll notice on the side, the right side, there should be like a little thing to take you to calendar. And that will kind of show you what your calendar is. On the actual test, what they're going to ask you to do is they're going to ask you to work with tasks, which I can show you today. I think I'm going to show you tasks today. So my plan is, with these last 15 minutes, I'm going to show you tasks, which is what they're going to ask you to do as well. I'm also going to show you then Thursday what we'll do is we're going to kind of split that time into thirds. I'm going to show you Google Calendar, Google Meets, and Google Sheets. And the reason that I'm doing all three of those together is because they all kind of interrelate to each other, and they're also super short. There's a lot you can do with all three of them, but because I'm trying to get you through the test, I don't want to like overwhelm you by showing you 400 different things to do with all of them. So for the Google Sheets portion, I'm literally just going to show you how to do exactly what they want you to do on the test. And then same deal with Google Calendar and Google Meet. So I did want to show you briefly how to do tasks. So I'm going to send myself a fake email here so that I can show you how this works. Okay, so say somebody sends you an email, and the email is something like, can you bring your papers to the meeting tomorrow? Okay. So I get this email and somebody's asking me to do something at a specific date, and I want to remember that. There's two ways that you can do this. One way is by going up here. Tasks basically is like a to-do list. It's not really tied to your Google Calendar. It's a completely separate little function. So tasks can either be done from here, so you'll see there's a circle with a check mark, or it can be done from the side here. It's again that circle with what looks to be like kind of a weird little check mark in it. If I click add to tasks from here, you'll see it automatically adds it. So if I edit it, it's now adding it to a list. I can add a date, like, okay, so today's the 11th. I needed to remember to bring it tomorrow. So I'm going to click tomorrow's date. And I'm going to add some details. Bring papers to meeting. Okay? So now I have a little task set up for tomorrow. It reminds me, it tells me the date, tells me what it is, and then when I'm done with it, I can click this and it will mark it as done. I can also create my own task right from here. So from this task panel, again, I can click to here and I can click add a task. So I could add something like bring papers to meeting. And then clicking the edit button, I can add a date and a time for that. I can even set up a time. So my meeting's at 11:30, okay. And I can say something like don't forget. And it's going to add it to your task list. These will add them to your calendar, I'm pretty sure, but tasks works differently. I don't really use it that much, but they do ask you to do it on the test, so I just kind of wanted to show you how to do that. But I don't personally use it all that much. That's just me. But that's how you would do that. There's two ways to do it. Either you go here from the sidebar, or you go up here with this add to tasks button. The other thing that they ask you to do in email, which I can show you very quickly, they ask you to sort your email. They'll ask you to create folders on the side, which is also pretty straightforward. So these are labels. I have my email organized so that particular emails go to particular places. So like, for example, my principal, all of her emails go into a special folder labeled with her name. Anything that comes from, this is my academic coach, it goes into the folder with her name automatically, and it never shows up on my homepage. So the easiest way to do that would be you click on an email, and then you go to this snowman. It's important to note that in Google, pretty much anytime you see this snowman, it's going to give you some really cool options. So keep that kind of in your head whenever you're playing with Google. If you click the snowman, you'll see something that says filter messages like these. And then it'll basically pull up any email that has that person's email address in it. So if you click create filter, what it does is it gives you the option to now sort it for you. And you can apply a label. I have a bunch of them, but you can create a label. So I could call this something like test label. And click create. And then anytime I get an email, I also click skip the inbox so that it doesn't go into my inbox. It's going to automatically go into that folder. and then you click create filter. And basically what that does is it helps you to keep your email a little bit more organized. Um, I'm going to remove my label because I kind of don't want that. But like, let me give you an example. So in here, these are all emails that came from my academic coach. You can click, so I have hers show all the time, but you'll also see show if unread. So right now I have no new emails from her, but I do have 3 new emails from my principal, which you can see on the side because I've got a 3 and her name is bold. Once I've read the emails, then her name will turn to look like this one where it's not bold and there's no numbers off to the side. I have a lot of labels, but most of them I have to show if unread, meaning that if I have a new email, it will pop up to the top, but if I don't, then I won't see it. So for example, if I went down here and I made that one unread, now see it's popped up to the top and it says 1. As soon as I read it, it's going to go away. So it will ask you to do that several times during the course of the testing as well. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there for today. Today's training actually wrapped up a little bit quicker than it did last time. So like I said, Thursday the plan is going to be Sheets, Calendar, and Meet. I'm going to do all 3 of those. I know that it sounds a little overwhelming, but like I said, I'm going to do little pieces of each of those 3, so it's not going to be a ton of information because I don't want to overwhelm you with that. So just kind of as an awareness there. And I will, of course, I'll record that meeting as well. So this meeting, I'm going to share, I'll have to upload this to the drive, and then I can share this with you. And then Thursday will be our last one, and we'll go over those 3 things and kind of go from there. So if anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask them. If you are good for today, then you can go ahead and sign out. Make sure that you have clicked yes to this Google invitation so that I know that you're here, or shoot me an email so that I make sure. I'm still working on getting the thing into Frontline. It's got to go through some channels, and they've changed who's in charge of stuff downtown, so it's kind of taking a little while to get things. But you will get your points eventually, I promise. It might just take a little while because we have a new head downtown. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. This has been wonderful. Once again, you are really a wonderful teacher. Your second graders are lucky.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad I could help.
All right. See you Thursday.
All right. See you Thursday.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Bye,
Yep.
everybody.